Wait a second. You are live. We can start now.
Okay. I call this the 5th meeting of the 63rd session of the Student Senate to order at 7:08 p.m. on September 2nd, 2020. We have taken roll as people arrived into the meeting. So we will start off our meeting with the swearing in of senators. Gabriel, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen to show.
So if you were confirmed last week, if you can keep your camera on, and if you are already a sitting senator, if you can go ahead and just turn your camera off. And then if you are brand new, first meeting, stay on because you're going to do your oath of office. And I
know we have a couple of them missing.
Okay. Tayton, can you hide yourself? Dennis, can you hide your camera? Never mind, I did it for you.
Okay. Can you also make sure you scroll with us as we say it?
Yep.
Okay. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby swear
I, Jalen Horton, hereby swear
that I will faithfully serve
that I will faithfully serve
the students of Wichita State University,
the students of Wichita State University,
act in accordance with
act in accordance with
the Constitution of the student body,
the Constitution of the student body,
and fulfill all duties and responsibilities
and fulfill all duties and responsibilities
required of the position of senator. I will, to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the student body
the Constitution of the student body
of Wichita State University.
of Wichita State University.
Congratulations, Senator Wharton. You are now officially a senator.
Everyone else can come back on.
Yes, everyone, please turn your cameras on. It is a requirement. Okay, moving on to item 3, public forum. We did not have anyone reach out to us ahead of time to come speak in public forum. So we will move on to item 4, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes from.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Senator Sines with the second. With a vote, you can just click yes or no on this vote on your screen. If everyone could please click either yes or no.
It's not popping up on mine.
You just need to hit participants on your Zoom thing, not on your app. This is the Zoom. I apologize if that was not clear. That's significantly more votes now, so I see that I was just not clear.
You said, I'm sorry?
For this, so we're voting on approval of the minutes. You can just click yes or no on Zoom. You don't need to use your app for this. Okay, with 38 in favor and 0 against, motion passes. The minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Senator Kirk with a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Senator Sines with a second. Please vote yes or no on your Zoom. Still waiting on a couple senators to vote on the Zoom. With 39 in favor and 0 against, motion passes. The agenda is as it is. There are no items in the consent agenda. We can move on to item A, unfinished business. Or item 7, unfinished business, item A, SB-63-049, virtual conference funding, introduced by Senator Maggie Hull, along with Senator John Kirk, Senator Jacob Tubak, Senator Sanjay Jatin, and Treasurer Zachary James. In response to a global pandemic, the association must adapt to practices that support members of the association. This bill will allow the expenditures to be allocated for expenses that are associated with virtual conferences and experiences. We went through the questioning period for this bill last week, so we can move into the debate period. Is there anyone who would like to speak in affirmation of this bill at this time? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak in negation for this bill at this time? Seeing none, we can now move into the voting period on this bill. Please get your apps out and ready, and you can go ahead and vote. You will be voting on the iClicker app this time, not Zoom. Still waiting on a couple people to vote. Please go ahead and vote. And that concludes our voting period with 37 in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstention. This bill passes. We will now allow for people to receive funding for virtual conferences. We can now move into item 8, new business. Item A, SB-63-051, appoint Hassan Sahel to the position of at-large senator, introduced by Vice President Haas along with Speaker Babin, by the authority vested in her as Vice President by the Constitution and laws of Wichita State University Student Government Association. She directs the appointment of Hassan Sahel to the position of at-large senator. Vice President Haas, would you like to give an authorship speech?
Yeah, in his interview, Hassan showed a lot of passion for the student body and trying to make a change on campus. He's a graduate student, and I think he would be a great fit for the Senate.
Thank you, Vice President Haas. Hassan, would you like to give a speech about yourself? Hassan, go ahead and give your speech.
I think he would be a great fit for the Senate.
Good evening, Senators. My name is Hassan. I am.
Thank you, Vice President Haas.
Oh, someone has their YouTube on.
Give a speech yourself.
Can you hear me? Everybody hear me? Good evening, Senators. My name is Hassan. I am studying biochemistry and
Hassan, go ahead and give your speech.
He would be a great fit for the Senate.
good evening, senators. My name is Hassan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does somebody have their YouTube pulled up? Okay.
Hassan, I think you're good to speak now.
I think he got kicked out accidentally.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
Are you
Okay,
going to work
hold on.
on getting him back in?
Yeah, there he's
Okay.
in the waiting room. Hold on.
Okay.
Nothing like good old technical difficulties. Okay, let's try again.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I'm not really sure what happened. I logged in and then I was looking at you over the Facebook. Oh, sorry, on YouTube, and then everything gets switched up and everything just shut off. I apologize. Good evening, senators. My name is Hassan. I am a junior right now at Wichita State University studying biochemistry and field major chemistry. I am with LAS College. I applied to be senator for the people that for the medical people, especially who are pursuing their degree in medical and who will be taking MCAT and pursuing their degree on forward with that. I've been in university for the last 2 years. My freshman year, sophomore year was all in Wichita State University. Other than that, if you have any questions or if you think that you have any queries, please let me know.
Are there any questions for the nominee at this time? Please raise your hand. Senator Kirk.
Yes. So what I understand that that you want to continue doing work for your fellow classmates and everything, but what exactly interests you about like this about Senate? What would you be bringing to the Senate floor to do things for your fellow classmates?
Thanks a lot for your question. So my major role that I am bringing it to the Senate is to put the voice of the people who are especially continuing their medical degree, or they're looking into be a health profession and stuff. I'm looking forward to be their voice to help them to make sure that they are being heard, make sure that the problems that we have been facing in LAS, especially after the 2 years, the reason why I thought that it will be the best time to come forward is the technical difficulties that we all been having with our classes, with pursuing our degree, with the difficulty that we usually fear, because we don't have a really big, for example, at Wichita State University, we have really big college for engineering that is a whole different college. We have a college of health profession, people who are pursuing nursing or health profession or dental hygienists, they have their whole stuff. But we don't have exactly like a big organization for the people who are pursuing medical degrees or who will be taking MCAT or who will be going into that profession. So I thought that, and I believe that there is a need for it to have it in the Senate, so we at least have a representation in the Senate, so we can at least give our voice to the higher ups. So that's what my major goal was, at least to make sure that the people who are having trouble from the first year of freshman all the way to their fourth year, and if they want to get heard, then yes, I will be the one who will be initiating that process and going forward with it.
Thank you, Hassan, for your answer, and thank you, Senator Kirk, for your questions. Are there any other questions for the nominee? Senator Eyrig.
Sorry, I got a weird pop-up. I was just wondering if you would clarify for me, are you a graduate or an undergraduate student? Because I think my sound cut out.
So I am an undergraduate.
Okay.
I am currently pursuing professional pre-medical, or you can call it. I am doing biochemistry because we have to choose a major, but my main goal is to take MCAT, which will be next year. So my main is I am an undergraduate, and I'll be pursuing that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Are there any other questions for the nominee at this time? Great. So seeing none, thank you very much, Hassan. Feel free to stay in the meeting or leave, whatever feels right to you. We will now move into the debate period. Is there anyone who would like to speak in affirmation of this nominee? Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak in negation for this nominee? Seeing none, we will now move into the voting period. Please open your iClicker apps and vote. A represents a yes, B represents a no, and C is abstain. Still waiting on a couple people to vote. All right. With 36 in favor, 1 against, this bill passes. Congratulations, Hassan. You are now a senator in the SGA.
Thanks a lot. I will be honored to serve, because also the other thing that I want to put it up front is I am working 40 hours with my stuff. So I just want to make sure the people who are working while they are getting their degree done, I will be also representing those. Of course, I'll be representing everybody, but especially the major will be also who are working 40 hours or working some part of part-time job in order to pay for their college and stuff. And they don't want to get into that, all that stuff. So yes, I will be, I myself is going through that, and I know how it feels. So I'll make sure that I will be representing all those people too.
Thank you. We can now move on to item B, SB-63-052, appoint Sheila Bhatt to the position of International Senator, introduced by Vice President Haas, along with Speaker Babin, by the authority vested in her as Vice President by the Constitution and the laws of Wichita State University Student Government Association. She directs the appointment of Sheila Bhatt to the position of International Senator. Vice President Haas, would you like to give an authorship speech?
Yeah. Oh wait, am I in mute? Okay. Shilja's experience with the International Student Council has been, just proves that she is passionate about advocating for students and makes her a really great fit for this, for the 63rd session. And I think she'll continue to do that hard work that she's been doing through ISC. And so I'm excited to bring her on board.
Thank you, Vice President Haas. Go right ahead, Shilja.
Hey all, I'm Shelja. I'm the senior in aerospace engineering, and I'm president for International Students Union since past 2 years. I've been representing other organizations on campus too, but my main focus is on the international students, because I'm here to join SGA because I have experienced so many problems. Like I have experienced so many problems faced by international students in general. Obviously, we had previous international senators, and I've brought them those problems in front of them. And I will keep presenting the same thing by being the international senator. Why I want to join SGA? Because that's the most powerful organization, and sometimes I feel that they don't get what students need to get. They don't get, or if they get, like, there are many other pros and cons why the decision is not being made for them, or like for the there are some reasons. I want to know that reasons, like why the decisions are not being made or something, but so I can better explain them. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you very much, Shilja. Are there any questions for the nominee at this time? Please raise your hand. Senator Kirk.
Yes, so you said that you represent other organizations on campus. What other organizations do you represent? And from that, what is your biggest drive to come into Senate?
So first of all, my biggest representation is International Students Union, that's ISU. I have been representing ISU as I have been serving ISU as a president since past 2 years. And all international students who come to Wichita State are ultimately part of ISU. So ISU is all international students are included in ISU. Other than in ISU, I have been representing AHINSA, I have been representing ISA too, and I was a part of SSE too, initially.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the nominee at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much, Shilja. You can stay or leave during debate, whichever you would choose. We will now move into the debate period. Is there anyone who would like to speak in affirmation of this nominee? Senator Majors?
Yeah, I've actually been in contact with the person who is looking to become a senator. I won't butcher her name out of respect, but I have been in contact and I know that she does great work for the International Student Union. I've been told not only by members, but people that are just international students that aren't actually even a part of the union, that she's doing a great job, serving as the president in that position. So with that being said, I'd like to motion to pass by unanimous consent.
With a motion to pass by unanimous consent, is there anyone who would like to object to this motion at this time? Please raise your hand if you object to the motion to adopt by unanimous consent. Seeing none, this bill passes with unanimous consent of the Senate. Congratulations, Shilja. You're now a senator in SGA.
Thank you.
We can now move on to item C, SB-63-053, appoint Chrislyn Scherer to the position of Liberal Arts and Sciences Senator, introduced by Vice President Haas, along with Speaker Babin, by the authority vested in her as Vice President by the Constitution and laws of the Wichita State University Student Government Association. She directs the appointment of Chrislyn Scherer to the position of Liberal Arts and Sciences Senator. Vice President Haas, would you like to give an authorship speech?
Yeah, sure. I think Chrislyn's a great fit for the 63rd Session Senate just because of her passion for politics and her drive to get involved as a freshman. I'm really excited to see what she does and how she shapes our campus in the next upcoming years.
Thank you, Vice President Haas. Chrislyn, would you like to give a speech?
Yes. So my name is Chrislyn Scherer. I am a freshman political science major. I am from Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is about an hour and 45 south of here. And I'm interested in being a senator because I want to make life for those on campus as enjoyable as possible. I hope to improve student life and student-instructor communication, if at all possible, in the most official and respectable ways. I'd also like to help make campus greener and more sustainable by putting more sustainable options in the campus facilities, such as like paper straws or recyclable bags in any way. And I also just really want to make sure the students that I'm advocating for feel listened to. And I plan to take advantage of the fact that we're virtual by just being able to reach out to the people that I'm representing in more ways, such as like social media, group me, reaching out through email, through anything as possible, anything possible.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the nominee at this time? Please raise your hand. Great. Seeing none, we can now move, thank you, Chrislyn, for your time. You can either stay or leave for debate. We will now move into the debate period. Is there anyone who would like to speak in affirmation of this bill? Senator Flores.
Yeah, the nominee seems really competent and really has like a clear direction as to what they want to accomplish. So with that, I'd like to motion to adopt by unanimous consent.
With a motion to adopt by unanimous consent, are there any objections to this motion? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, this bill passes with the unanimous consent of the Senate. Congratulations, Chrislyn. You're now a senator in SGA. Moving on to item D, SB-63-026, the Office Oversight and Management Act of 2020, introduced by President Khan and Speaker Babin. The Office Oversight and Management Act shall serve as the statutory regulation of the Office of the Student Government Association, and such adopted policy defines the expectations associated with the use, oversight, and management of the office. Enforcement of this policy will be granted to the committee in which this act creates. I know this bill was sent to people a little bit late, so I will share my screen in like 30 seconds to show what this looks like. Okay, so this is the bill. Oh, hold on. Can everyone see this? Like nod your head to make sure that you can see. Okay, perfect. So this is the bill as it was moved forward from the Ways and Means Committee. After conversation with the Ways and Means Committee today, there has been a friendly amendment presented. So the bill will now read as such, giving the student advocate a voting position and making it 1 member per branch, which is a friendly amendment. So this is just how the bill will read from now on. So I am one of the authors of this bill, myself, along with President Raja Khan. We've seen that this office is the only non-regulated part of SGA. So the SGA office, if you aren't aware, is on the 2nd floor of the Radigan Student Center, right next to student involvement. It is a shared space with the legislative branch, meaning the Senate, and the executive branch. So all of your leadership have office space within here for us to complete our required work hours. This bill will just make sure that any decisions of, who shares offices, if we decide that we want to, paint a really beautiful mural or something, or we decide we want to spend $1,000 on a huge TV, all of these decisions will be made by this committee that this bill creates, allowing us to regulate kind of the only space that is not regulated within SGA. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. Because I'm the author, are there any questions for me about this bill? Please raise your hand. Senator Flores.
Yeah, I was just interested in why the student advocate is like no longer an ex officio member.
So the reason that, originally that was a change that the Ways and Means Committee made, that making them a voting member returns it back to the original state of the bill. So the reason that the student advocate gets to vote in this particular committee is because it is not a political committee. No political action will be taken with this committee. It's just this, it only covers anything that will happen within the physical space of the SGA office. So like there's like 5 offices, I'm in it. There's like 5 offices on one wall, 2 offices on another. We have like a front entrance area. It only talks about what's there, and the student advocate has space here, has an office, so it's only fair that we're allowing them to have voting rights as we're making decisions about the office and the office alone. Senator Majors.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could clarify to the entire Senate as to Just your reasoning for excluding the Supreme Court or any member of the Supreme Court, or specifically the Chief Justice, from the committee, since it will be effective.
Yeah, so basically in the past, trends have shown that the Supreme Court only meets 5 or 6 times an entire school year. They have no required meeting times. They have no requirement of space that they would need to complete office hours or anything that's required of them within our statutes, bylaws, constitution, anything like that. And there is limited resources for space within the SGA office. So we have to be cognizant of our resources. This office is policy making in its essence. Every single decision that's made in SGA is made from within these walls. Everything is talked about across walls. You know, even if your door is closed, you can hear every conversation that's going on within this office. And putting the Supreme Court within this space inherently puts them in a political place, which could inherently create biases, putting them within those conversations, within earshot of these conversations. So having them here would get rid of their ability to be a check on either branches, as we've created these checks and balances within our system. Having them here wouldn't, or even having them with office space and having them on this committee would basically put them in a position that could potentially be viewed as bias and make them unable to do their work and provide the check on the executive and the legislative branch. So it's not about if they deserve space. It's not about anything like that. It's literally about the physical office within the RSC and the limited space that it has. Senator Mounts.
Wouldn't you say that with the student advocate being like a non-political position, that similar things would happen in the office with them being in the office? So I don't see how that.
So the difference between the student advocate and the Supreme Court is the student advocate doesn't get to be a part of political conversations and make them, but the student advocate doesn't serve as a check and someone who needs to be completely non-biased in every single scenario, because they will have to make a decision based on something that's happened. So I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this. So while the student advocate is not a political position, they don't have the constitutional responsibility that the Supreme Court has to remain completely non-biased in all political matters. So the student advocate can have opinions on different things, but they are inherently not a part of the political process, whereas the Supreme Court needs to be completely and utterly non-biased in all political decision-making. Does that answer your question? And like, did I fully explain myself? I want to make sure that that's understood. Okay. Senator Majors, do you have another question?
So I was just wondering if including them in the committee guaranteed that they would even have space in the SGA office, and second, giving them space in the office or giving them a place in the committee would guarantee that they would become biased.
So it would not guarantee that they would receive space, but it would put them in conversations about a space that is inherently political, just because of the nature of this office, the nature of everything that happens within this office. So that is kind of the justification that President Khan and I had when we were going through making this decision, is that we both believe that they don't necessarily have a place within the physical limits of this SGA office. Not that they don't deserve a space of their own, they do. We just don't necessarily think that it should be within, you know, the 4 walls of the SGA office. And so putting them on this committee would basically, there's no need for them to be on this committee if they don't have office space within the space, because the committee is literally only about the SGA office on the 2nd floor of the RSC, no other rooms, no other space, literally just the SGA office. Does that answer your question? Okay. Do you have another question, Senator Majors? No? Okay. Are there any other questions for me about this bill? Great. That will conclude our questioning period and our first read. We will move on to the debate period at the next meeting for our second read. So we can now move on to item E, AR-63-008, containing outbreaks in registered student organizations, Non-Compliance and Accountability Act, also known as Corona. They're very proud of their acronym. I'll give them credit. So introduced by Chairperson David Liu, Chairperson Tayton Majors, and Chairperson Grant Day. As Wichita State reopens in the midst of a pandemic, it is imperative that the health of the student body be of utmost importance. It has become increasingly apparent that promoting and enforcing COVID-19 guidelines among registered student organizations is essential to the containment and prevention of the spread of COVID-19. Thus, the Student Senate of Wichita State Student Government Association must take action to prevent the current pandemic from rapidly spreading through the institution. Would one of the authors please give a speech?
Yeah, I could. All right, so the purpose of this bill is to make sure that RSOs are aware of university COVID-19 protocols and are keeping the health and safety of the student body in mind when hosting events. Like we want RSOs to be hosting events, reaching out, getting students involved, but the health of students cannot be put in jeopardy. And if RSOs choose to ignore university guidelines, it is our responsibility to take action, because in the end, we are here to serve the students. And if we can't maintain the health of the students, we're not doing our jobs. That being said, we already have the power to withdraw recognition and provide oversight. And this bill simply informs RSOs of this and make sure they know of what our expectations are when they decide to host events and conduct business. And that's my little spiel.
Thank you, Senator Liu. Are there any questions for any of the authors at this time? Senator Eyrig.
How would this apply to RSOs if they decide to meet off-site of WSU? So if they decide to meet personally, like say someone wants to host something in their house, would these rules still apply, or does this only apply on WSU's territory or campus, I guess is a better word?
Yeah, so great question. So that would depend on the nature of the event. So most events are registered through Soccer Sync. And if you register through Soccer Sync, you already have to check that you acknowledge university COVID-19 protocols. So if you do it wherever you host the event, you're expected to follow this. So if you say, hey, we're hosting a kind of a meeting at blank's house and you advertise it through Soccer Sync, then yes, you will be expected to follow university COVID guidelines.
As a further clarification, so like if a religious club decided that they were going to hold an official like Bible study at somebody's house, that because it is an official event of the organization, it would be subject to these rules. But if it was just like, you know, 3 friends who happen to all be members of the same sorority, then it's not applicable because that it's not within the official business of the RSO. So as if it is official RSO business, then yes, they are subject to these guidelines. But if it's just, you know, people hanging out, doing whatever, then we have no power to regulate that. Senator Slagley.
I apologize if this was already like stated, but just to be clear, this doesn't make any changes to the guidelines, right?
No. So in the resolution, we mentioned Chapter 21 of the University Policies and Procedures. These have been in place since August. These went into effect August 6th or 8th. So we're just simply saying these are the regulations. Please follow them.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for the authors? Senator Sines.
Hi. So I do have one question. So if, let's say you guys do catch an organization that doesn't follow the guidelines, would you guys enforce some sort of punishment, or would you guys report to anybody? Just kind of give me some clarification on that.
So that relates to procedure-wise. regarding RSO reporting, for those questions, I'd like to defer to Advisor Francesca.
So the university, or maybe like the Senate, doesn't have the procedural ability to address sanctions until one is presented to the Senate. So for example, if the I Love Gabriel Club, which should be a student organization, but whatever, were to host like an event on campus, there's a process already designed in the student organization handbook that would address the process of investigating that event. So for example, they would go in front of a staff member from student involvement, present the information, that person would, the staff member would then issue a sanction from there. And then that organization has the ability to appeal that if they disagree with it. So the idea, and on top of that, then the Senate is notified each time that process is used. And then following that, if it's concerning, egregious enough, or a violation of university student code of conduct, then it goes over to the student conduct office for them to process that. At the point that it comes to the Senate for a decision of revoking recognition would be on the recommendation of university folks. So for example, if there are the current process in the RSO handbook is like step 1, step 2, step 3, it doesn't necessarily fall in the same order. So right, if it's a large enough issue, then it can skip over step 1 and go immediately to step 2. The minute it hits step 3, or it's the third time we're addressing this, then it comes to the Senate for them to process that decision. So the Ways and Means Committee would address it, they would make a recommendation, and then the full Senate would have the ability to either accept that recommendation from the committee or to reject it and do their own. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Senator Vargas?
I just had 2 questions. One, how big of a problem is this currently on campus? And 2, what is the date of like termination for this reporting?
So for the issue of the problem, I do not know exactly number-wise, but I've heard a lot of conversation from students of many organizations, seeing how a lot of events they advertise social distancing, they advertise mask wearing, but when these events actually occur, it becomes a lot of mask optional, please social distance, but we will ignore it and whatnot. And for the date of enforcement, all resolutions will end at the conclusion of the 63rd Senate. So this is in effect until the end of this session.
Thank you.
Senator Eyrig?
So just another clarification, and this might be a better question for Advisor Fonseca, but say this report does happen for committee, say I go to a meeting of the I Love Gabriel Club and I'm not wearing a mask, but everyone else is, would that punish me on a personal level because I am the student that broke conduct? Does that just punish the RSO, or is that a combination of both?
Very good question. I think it's all very circumstantial, and I think it has to be especially and circumstantial and very situational, right? For example, every organization has been notified of the university's regulations and guidelines. We have stressed in the strongest words possible to make sure that they are adhering to those as we go through this process. So I guess long answer short, it would be very situational of depending on what comes out of that conversation, right? The individual could be reported directly to student conduct since it's an individual. The organization may not. It's just going to be dependent on how that conversation with the organization and the staff member that's assigned to that case would be able to pull that information. So if you're the one and John Kirk is the president of the I Love Gabriel Club. And in the conversation that we have with John, he tells us X, Y, and Z, then that gives us information to be able to address it differently. So for example, right, then it's not the organization, it's the individual person, and then the individual person can be forwarded off to student conduct in the organization and continue with moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is it okay if I butt in as an author? Okay, basically, I think there needs to be a reminder that, or a clarification that this bill does not, or not bill, this resolution is not necessarily do anything new. It is not a new set of guidelines. It is basically almost a reminder to student orgs to follow these rules, to follow these standards. And there's a good reason for them to follow it. I mean, like, COVID-19 is not just dangerous, it could kill people. I am overweight. If I catch COVID, there's a chance I will die. I think it is very important that as senators, some of the senators are able to just consider, and I'm sure most of you are, to that there are human lives at stake with this. I get the concerns. I just really hope to remind student orgs that they need to be cautious in these times. I know it sucks. It's just very important.
Thank you. Senator Vargas, do you still have a question? You're on mute, Senator Vargas.
Yes, I hit the lower hand instead of unmute. I don't hope this hasn't been answered already, but I was just wondering, will the reporting of infractions on this resolution remain anonymous?
Could you elaborate? Do you mean like the?
If someone says, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, you go ahead.
If someone reports that an organization is meeting and they're not following the guidelines, will their reporting be anonymous?
Got it. So play it out. So like if Ella Perkins is the one who saw it and she reports it, will Ella Perkins' name remain anonymous? Yeah, okay, so it's done through the university's reporting system. So if Ella Perkins is the one who's reporting it, she has the ability to keep her name anonymous by clicking the anonymous box or just reporting on it anonymously. So yes, that would, and right then on my side of things, right, the staff member wouldn't be able to know whose name it is because it came in anonymously.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the authors of this bill? Great, seeing none, because this is a resolution, it only needs one read, so we will now move into the debate period. Is there anyone who would like to speak in affirmation of this resolution? Senator Kirk.
Yes, I mean, Senator Day hit it right on the head. This is not something that has not already been here. This is just a reminder. Like I know of groups that have done the same exact thing of, well, we'll social distance, but they actually don't, and they're not going to do anything about it. This is something to remind them that this is a serious thing. Senator Day said that he could easily die. I have very serious health problems myself. This is something that needs to be taken very seriously by every single organization. I'm definitely speaking in favor of this, and I would like to have a motion for this to be passed by unanimous consent.
With a motion to pass by unanimous consent, if there's anyone who objects to this motion, please raise your hand. We do have an objection, so we will move forward with the debate at this time. Is there anyone who would like to speak in negation of this bill? Okay, seeing none, is there another speech in affirmation of this bill? Okay, seeing none, we will now move into the voting period at this time.
I think Senator Smith has her hand up.
Oh, I apologize. Senator Smith, go ahead.
Sorry, that was my bad. I agree with Senator Kirk. I think that this should be passed in unanimous consent. Obviously that might not happen, but I think it's really important for us to consider people who we need to not just be individuals here. We need to think of the whole group, because there are people with very serious health problems. There are people, personally me, I have older parents and I'm very concerned about their health, or people who have cancer and are going through chemotherapy, people who have respiratory issues already, people who have kidney issues. I think it's really important that we think of the group as a whole instead of just ourselves in this situation, because it really can cost human lives. And it would be really, really tragic if somebody on Wichita State's campus got sick and or died because people weren't social distancing properly.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Is there anyone who would like to speak in negation of this bill? Senator Slagley.
I'm actually not speaking in negation. I was just responding because I was the person who raised my hand, and I would just like to say that I usually don't feel comfortable having like resolutions or bills passed by unanimous consent. I'd like rather there be a vote, and I'm just responding as to why I raised my hand. But I do support this resolution.
Thank you, Senator Slagley. Senator Potts, did you have a speech in negation?
Negation with a concern. There is now we've created a, for lack of a better vernacular, we've created a snitch line. So if we're gonna have people telling on each other, at the very least, can we have some sort of verification that this took place and that this particular thing happened? Because I feel uncomfortable with, okay, you can anonymously tell on somebody, but there's no verification. Did they actually do it before we punitively punish people?
Yeah, Senator Potts, I think there is a valid concern there. I would like to just kind of put out there for information's sake that there is nothing new happening in this bill. There is already and has already been a reporting system that's been in place since August. Actually, since basically forever, you've been able to tell on RSOs who commit infractions. And then there is a 3-step process before it will come to the Senate. So before it comes to the Senate, it's going to go to somebody in student involvement who's going to review it and make a decision there. If something happens again, then it's going to go to basically a student involvement review board, pretty much, and then it will potentially go to the Senate. And only if it's a very severe situation will it come directly to the Senate. Advisor Fonseca, feel free to.
Yes, and in addition to that, Senator Potts, right, there has to be proof, right? They can't just, if Ella Perkins, I'm just gonna keep using the same example, if Ella Perkins was the one who submitted the report anonymously, then right, Ella has to be able to submit evidence to that fact, because I don't want to tie this to like a court of law, but right, if there's no evidence to support the claim or the information presented, then there would be no means to be able to have to move forward with any kind of sanctions towards it, because right there, if there's no evidence, then there's no evidence. So I think that's going to have to be the other piece of whoever's submitting the report needs to be able to provide. You can't just say, oh, the I Love Gabriel Club was out here on the lawn with no mask and I don't know, doing whatever, unless there's proof of that. So I think that's, the system already requires it. And if there's nothing there, then the system won't address it.
Senator Vargas, did you have a speech or a question?
I apologize. I have a question. Am I okay to ask it?
Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. During the time of investigation, will the organization under investigation be placed on like a period of cessation from meeting in person?
Gabriel, that's definitely a question for you.
Depending, again, all very circumstantial, depending on what the situation is. So yes, no, it's all going to just be dependent on the case itself.
So I do believe we are on a speech of affirmation. Do I have a speech of affirmation for this bill? Senator Majors.
Yeah, I don't want to, spend too much time if it's not necessary, if we're all kind of in unison, but I'd just like to say before we move forward into the voting period that even if this might seem somewhat punitive towards registered student organizations, it's really not. In fact, us passing this legislation right now is just a PSA, just a reminder that, like, if you are not following the guidelines now, there is this process where you can lose your registered student organization status. And it's just giving you that information, and hopefully we'll widely publicize it as the SGA, which I think is already the plan. So I think this is actually helping student organizations. And that's just all I want to say in terms of that.
Thank you, Senator Majors. Are there any other, is there another speech in negation? Seeing none, do we have another speech in affirmation? Okay, seeing none, we will now move into the voting period on this bill. Please go ahead and pull out your phones to vote on the iClicker app. Again, A is yes, B is no, and C is abstain. Senator Eyrig, do you have a question?
Just to confirm, this should be question 4, correct? Because
Yes.
it showed up for me and then erased and then came back. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, whatever's on your screen, as long as what's highlighted is like the containing outbreaks and registered student organizations little thing, then it is correct. I do know that I did make a mistake earlier, so it might come up as the wrong number question, but you are voting on this resolution at this time. Thank you. The voting period has ended with 34 in favor, 5 against, and 1 abstention. This bill, or this resolution, passes. We can now move on to there is a bill in committee, but we don't need to talk about that here. We can now move on to officer reports. So for my report, I'm going to make it pretty quick. I have selected someone to be the clerk of the Senate. Taylin Fox will be filling this position starting on Monday. I really think that Taylin has the organizational skill, the passion for students, and really everything that she needs to fulfill this role really well. So at the next meeting, she will be here taking minutes, hopefully helping us with taking attendance, all the things that Gabriel has been doing at this meeting behind the scenes. So you will be seeing her in meetings coming forward, and she is our new clerk of the Senate. So congratulations, Taylin. That's really the only update that I have for this week. I have been working on a bunch of other projects, but you can read about it in my report that will be published on the website. We can move on to Senator Flores. Go ahead.
Yeah, so mine's going to be pretty short. I just had some personal issues going on, so I haven't gotten as much done this week as I would like. But I have been in contact with David Garcia and Masara to discuss potentially like doing some sort of like context for like a Latinx showcase for Latinx Heritage Month, just to sort of like highlight the Latinx students on our campus and to just present like them an opportunity to get to, you know, shine. As well as I contacted the Starlight Drive-In to potentially like have like some sort of movie night where we could like host like some sort of like educational movie or a movie where it is about like some marginalized identity or other community. I haven't heard back from them yet, but those have just been the couple of things that I have been working on.
Are there any questions for Senator Flores? Great, seeing none, we can move on to Senator Liu.
Yeah, so this week, this Monday, I had a meeting with the student advocate and financial aid regarding a concern that was brought up concerning the financial aid appeals process. What came out of the meeting was a understanding that when students receive their financial aid packages, the physical letter is kind of a notification of this is what is expected when you receive this financial aid. And it is your responsibility to like know what the requirements are. That being said, we were able to get the Director of Financial Aid's commitment to give more notification to students who are on the border of losing their scholarship. So we hope that will help resolve some issues that are brought up in the future, give more students opportunity for college. In addition, also I met with Dr. Kmont Morgan regarding a service certificate initiative she mentioned. So this initiative will basically recognize students for their community service while at Wichita State University, and that may come in the form of a certificate or a designation on their transcript, and that's something I'll be working with her as time moves forward. And the last thing, so right in this committee meeting, we talked about the issue of accessibility, and the reports I got were not the best with regards to how faculty have been addressing the issue of accessibility. And I hope to, when I move forward, to work with other senators and other chairs to like address this issue of accessibility and to provide a better learning environment for students.
Thank you, Senator Liu. Are there any questions for the chairperson at this time? Seeing none, we can move on to Senator Hull.
Hi, everyone. So my report this week is also what my committee is doing as well. So I've been doing meetings with student fees and this organization funding bill. They're kind of very much intertwined. So we're kind of waiting to figure out what's happening with student fees before we flesh out everything that has to do with the organization funding bill. I've had a couple conversations about travel restrictions when it comes to using student government money to travel. So we will have a resolution on the floor hopefully next week on that. In the committee, we're looking into colleges having hardship funds for their students to apply for. So we're looking into that, seeing if every college has one, and if not, what we can do in order to encourage them to create one. Looking into the funding request process, so the steps that individual and organizations go through, just the general process, not like the overall rehaul of it. And then we have tabled one of the things I want to do is let you know where I'm at in certain with funding bills in general, because I want to be very transparent when it comes to our money and how we're using it, because I think that's the number one thing that my committee is for, and I really want to be transparent on that. So we have tabled one funding bill for an organization in order to get some more information from them before we just offered them funding. And then we have approved one for their funding. So you should be seeing that next week for you all to vote on as well. So that is my report.
Thank you, Senator Hull. Are there any questions for the chairperson at this time? Seeing none, Senator Day, go ahead.
All right, hello everyone. Hello again. In terms of what I've done over the past week, last Thursday I met individually with the Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Terry Hall. Senator Landenberger, thank you for sending me questions in advance about that. That's much appreciated. I had a number of questions of my own as well. We discussed a wide variety of topics related to the university's response to the pandemic. So many that I'm not really sure how to sum them up. If you have specific questions, I'll have you ask me, but some notable things I'll bring up is that enrollment for classes so far, according to her, has been somewhat better than anticipated. It's not good. It's minus about 1.5% in enrollments. But considering that we were, or at least as of right now, but considering that we were worried, like at the time of the last student fees session, that the enrollment could be down as much as 6%, that's a plus if that sustains itself. She's also hopeful that there will be enough stockpile PPE like hand sanitizer, masks, and whatnot to last the whole semester. So those are some highlights. I spent a great deal of time preparing for and writing a resolution that would have requested that the university release numbers of positive cases, specifically in housing, because I was given information that made me believe that that was probably the best course of action, not focus on the whole university, just housing. That's kind of somewhat of a moot point now, partly because I wasn't going to actually finish it this week, unfortunately. And then this morning I found out that they released the numbers for the whole university. So I'll have to kind of readjust my strategy on that. So you're not seeing a resolution about that this week at least. I brought the Chief of Police, Rodney Clark, to speak and take questions at the Safety and Student Services Committee meeting tonight. just a variety of like broad policing-oriented topics were discussed. I've met with Chairperson Perkins and Vice President Haas about how the university is issues with contact tracing. I've heard conflicting information, honestly, so I'll get back to you on that in terms of what the university can and cannot do with regard to that due to the legal regulations at the county and state level. And last but not least, the bill you just saw, I've been working on quite a bit with Chairperson Liu and Chairperson Majors, the Corona Act. So I'm open for questions.
Speaker Brabin had to step out. So are there any questions for Senator Day? Seeing none, thank you. Senator Perkins?
Okay, yeah, hi everyone. So I spent the week continuing to have one-on-one meetings with each of my committee members, just discussing any questions, ideas, concerns they have, because they're all new senators, so I just want to make sure everyone is introduced and feeling comfortable in the session. And then I've also been in those meetings with Grant about contact tracing. We had a one-on-one meeting, then we met with Vice President Haas about everything that's happening with the administration, and we talked in our committee today about the possibility if we move forward with lobbying the county commission about all of that. And then I also have been continuing to work on the scheduling these further education talks. And I reached out to WSU College Republicans and WSU College Democrats about the possibility of them helping helping us with those, just for extra manpower, because we're going to be doing a lot of them. And then today my committee also discussed putting together an informational event focusing on like local and statewide election information, how to vote, all of that stuff that I think students are missing, just some basic information in that area. And there's more information about that to come, but that is just going to be happening probably sometime in the beginning of October, just prior to the deadline to register to vote, which is October 13th. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Are there any questions for the chairperson at this time? Great, seeing none, we can move on to Senator Majors.
Okay, hello everyone. For my report, I don't want to bog you down with all the minute things that I'm doing or be repetitive, but I will tell you we had 4 RSOs seeking recognition, registered student organization status from the Committee on Ways and Means, and in our primary review that we conducted, we are passing, you'll be seeing next week that we are passing one of them with recommendation to pass by the Senate, and that organization was the only one that had a speaker present to speak for their legislation. And the committee kind of by consensus determined that if the speaker was not present to speak on behalf of their legislation, we weren't really doing our job of primary review. We were just seeing the legislation as it was, which is the same as what the Senate would do without the committee's review prior. And so upon that determination, we decided to simply move the other 3 organizations legislation forward with no recommendation to the Senate for next week. If anyone has questions as to what those organizations are, I'll be happy to answer, but in terms of, but only if people have questions. Yeah, we're getting in, I'm again reviewing the Supreme Court, but I won't go too deep into that because I've already given that to all of you. And also in terms of the legislation put forward by Senator Day, or Chairperson Day and Chairperson Liu, and myself, please come forward with any questions or concerns. I know that there were 5 people, I believe, that voted against the legislation. And if you have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to respond to any of those questions or concerns, as I'm sure Chairperson Liu and Chairperson Day would also be able to do. My email is just sga.ways.means@wichita.edu. So it's really simple, SGA Ways and Means, if you have any questions or concerns. So yeah, I think that's it for my report this week.
Thank you, Senator Majors. We can now move into association reports. Student Body Vice President Mackenzie Haas, go ahead with your report.
Hi, everyone. I'll try and keep this short. So our Director of Media thanks you all for coming to the photo shoot on Friday. I really enjoyed that and getting to meet you all. Our Director of Public Relations says to tune into the State of the Student Body Address from tomorrow at 6 p.m. Our Treasurer says that he is still sending funding bills forward to BNF, Budget and Finance. So you should be seeing this soon. And then I myself continue to sit on the health and safety meetings. There have been no huge updates except for the new decision to release case numbers, and that those can be found on our COVID website at wichita.edu. And then you're all able to share that as you see fit. So please do so. Thank you to the senators that reached out to me and asked questions about policy or anything COVID related. I hope to continue being helpful in that manner. And then I'm also wrapping up legislative review, so the journal will be finished here shortly. And then I have President Khan's report. She says, I serve on the pub board, which deals with the university publication. Soon this group will have an interim chief editor for the Sunflower, and you all will know who that individual is. I also have the honor to collaborate with the Shocker Voter Coalition and push students to use their right to go vote, so keep an eye out for that. Starting today, Ridja will be attending the reintegration meetings because I have a class. Vice President Haas has a class during those times. Sorry, it's weird. I'm reading from her point of view. Anyways, and the group has shared some resources and information that is valuable to the student body. We as the student government will push out those resources through our social media, and the information will be out soon. Again, as mentioned last report, I am working on freedom of expression principles and shared governance document with the university. If you want to learn more, feel free to reach out to the president. And I have my meeting with K-Board regents that will allow the other student body presidents and I to build relations and start pushing our goals in the Senate level next week. Next week, I will share what goals the Student Advisory Committee decides to adopt. And lastly, the state of the student body is tomorrow. Catch Speaker Babin and I at 6 p.m. live on YouTube, Killing the Game. So that is all we have. Thank you, guys.
Are there any questions for Vice President Haas? Great, seeing none, Advisor Fonseca, your report.
Yeah, so there's a few things. Again, yes, tomorrow is the state of the student body, so please make sure you tune in, share that with all of your constituents so they can see directly from President Khan and Speaker Babin what is going on with SGA. Two, like Vice President Haas mentioned, Ridja McKenzie and President Khan and Vice President Haas serve on the COVID integration teams and the health and safety team. If there are questions, instead of reaching out to other folks, if you can just go to those two, they're in all those meetings, they can answer and help you with all those questions or direct you to the right folks so that we can just make sure that we're sharing a content message with students on campus. Three, next week, the annual report for the Shocker Support Locker will be published, and I will be sure we send a copy to each of you. Some interesting data that is on there, so take a look at that so you can kind of be familiarized with everything that the locker was able to accomplish in the previous fiscal year. Colin Munson, who is our graduate assistant for the Shocker Support Locker, and I are working on a few things that we're going to be bringing to the Senate for approval within the next few months, just for some larger expenses that we need to ask for permission to expend before we actually purchase them, and a few other things. So we'll be working with Senate leadership on getting the appropriate way to get that done, because I don't know why, but we're going to do that. So that's going to be great. I think that is all that I have that's pertinent to everyone. So thank you for your hard work today and every day for the work of the people. That's all I have.
Are there any questions for Advisor Fonseca?
I forgot something. If I frame it in the form of a question, can I say it?
Vice President Haas, you have my permission to speak.
The last day for Food for Fines is tomorrow. That's all.
Thank you. So we can now move into remarks and announcements. Again, this is a time anyone can say whatever they would like, share events that you have going on, comments you have about legislation, anything that you feel is important for this body to know. Are there any remarks and announcements at this time, Senator Kirk?
Next week on the 10th, there is the academic convocation. Please come out. I will speak again next week about it because I don't know exactly the time. I know that I have to be there from 9 until it's over. So I know that Vice President Haas will be there. She will be speaking. Please come out. It'll be a good time for all of us to be able to just to say, hey, like we do stuff, we are here for you. And if you cannot be there, be spreading it to all of your constituents. It'll be good for all of your colleges and all of your constituents to be able to say and see what we do for the rest of the college.
Thank you, Senator Kirk. Senator Hull.
Hi, everyone. So if any of you didn't notice, involvement fair didn't happen in the first couple weeks of school because we were trying to figure out the best way to make it safe and healthy for everyone. So it will now be on September 14th and 15th. So we'll be split up for 2 days so we can ensure health and safety. So come on out, see some organizations, join some organizations, or have your organization sign up. It'll be from 11 to 1 in the RSC courtyard.
Thank you, Senator Hull. Senator Day.
Hello again, everyone. I have what I hope is a helpful suggestion about something Senate related, just directed at the whole Senate. During officer reports and like the cabinet report and whatnot, I've noticed that there haven't really been very many questions during that period. I personally think that it's a great opportunity for the Senate to engage with chairs and to know what's happening and to bring up important issues in front of the whole Senate. I think it's a great opportunity to do all kinds of good things. So I really encourage a lot of the rest of the Senate. I know I could have asked questions myself, I didn't, but to encourage the rest of the Senate to not be like me and kind of grill us a bit, because it's part of our job to be able to answer questions.
Thank you, Senator Day. Senator Flores.
Yeah, first off, I'd like to preface this by saying that like this isn't me trying to be like snarky or anything. I just do want to like clarify this. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like in the past I've like tended to like motion to adopt things by unanimous consent. And I hope that it doesn't come across as like I'm trying to silence anyone. Just because like I'm not. I just think that like I tend to do it when it's like something that I assume will be like not controversial and that everyone will vote yes on, like with confirmations of nominees to the Senate, because typically no one really has like reasons to vote no. And I just think for the purpose of saving time, that's why I motioned to adopt by unanimous consent. And I know that there were concerns mentioned about how it like prevents a vote, but I think with like certain pieces of legislation, it doesn't really matter because we all know what the vote is going to be. But I do really want to encourage that if it is something that you do genuinely object to, and it is something that you think there should be discourse on, feel free to object. But if it's something like super simple, that's why I motioned to adopt by unanimous consent. And I just wanted to clarify that so that nobody felt like they were trying to be like kept silent or felt uncomfortable speaking.
Thank you, Senator Flores. I just wanted to speak a little bit on that point as well. I completely agree with what Senator Sligley had brought up earlier about how, you know, sometimes it is important that even if you don't necessarily disagree with a bill, but you want to see that discourse and that there should be a full vote, I think is actually really, really important. So there were 5 people who voted no on the bill that came forward about that was potentially going forward as unanimous consent. So if you disagree with a bill and someone says that it's unanimous consent, you need to speak up and say that you don't want unanimous consent. And even if you just want that discourse, I think that's really, really important. I tend to see, for me personally, I think that unanimous consent is kind of it's an important motion and kind of brings a new weight to anything that's passed. So, you know, when we accept a nomination with the unanimous consent of the Senate, that holds a little bit more power than just passing it with X number of votes. So it's important that we think about that moving forward with, you know, there is a different weight that is carried with unanimous consent than there is with just a vote. So just throwing that out there, putting a little bit more explanation there. Senator Spencer, your announcement.
Hi. Just for like the new senators, I am the vice president of WSU College Democrats, and I just wanted to like tell everyone that the candidate for U.S. Senate, Barbara Boyer, is hosting an event for WSU students to answer any questions you may have. And so I just want to put that out there. That's going to be happening. And so if you want the link to that event, you will, or WSU College Democrats has a Instagram as well as a Twitter, so you can go there and for the inquiries of the link. Yeah, that's all I want to. We hope to see you all there. It's very important you stay educated. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So is there any other remarks and announcements or anything anyone would like to mention at this time? Great. Well, I have two for you all. So my main one is it's now September. This is a new month. Please make sure that if you are not in a college caucus GroupMe, you let me know so that I can get you added to your college caucus GroupMe. College caucuses are based on the college that your major is in, not the seat in the Senate that you fill. So I'm a bad example, but like Senator Hull fills a graduate seat, but her major is in applied studies, so she's in applied studies as her caucus. So if you're not in your caucus, let me know. You should have one meeting this month, and you should select your caucus leader. Once that is done, please let me know who your caucus leader is. And then make sure that you're trying to get your meetings with the deans of each college. That's really important, and a requirement of fulfilling a Senate seat is that you meet with your dean at least once. Are there any questions about that? Anything that has to do with college caucuses? Cool. My other announcement is fill out your senator hours. It's only 1 hour. I'm super lenient about what that hour can be, basically as long as you're doing something that relates to Senate, relates to the student body. So if it's attending an event, hanging out with your friends does not count, but if you're hanging out with your friends at a BSU event, then it counts. So, you know, make sure that you're letting me know what you're doing that relates to the student body, that relates to talking to your constituents, that relates to the work of the Senate. So if you're writing a bill, having a meeting with administration, anything like that, you need to be filling out that form. Everyone has to fill out that form, even if you did not submit your senator hour, or even if you didn't complete your senator hour, sorry. And caucus meetings count as a senator hour. So get those caucus meetings set, and then you'll have your senator hour. But again, committee meetings and this meeting right now do not count. So please get those submitted. We've been doing pretty well. Again, make sure you have your senator hour submitted. Are there any other remarks and announcements at this time? Very cool. So I am going to pose just one final question as your final roll call. So please select any letter on your iClicker app. It does not matter. And this will be our final roll call. So yes, you can click the forbidden E option. I am still waiting for some of you to respond, so please make sure that you're clicking the button. Otherwise, you will not be counted as being here for the entire meeting. Okay. Thank you very much. That is our final roll call. I now call this meeting to adjourn at 8:32 p.m. Have a good evening. If the chairs could please stay, I would like to have a short